Hi, I'm Jadon. The rest of my team members are Omari, Ryan, Harrison, Haley, and Delsin. Omari was the project manager, and Ryan was the lead developer. A summary of our project is it is an LLM powered focus app that helps users organize their work, school, and personal lives. So, welcome to FoQuest. So, our problem statement. Students today get distracted easily with phones, social media, and busy schedules, making it hard to stay focused and get things done. Focused helps fix that by turning tasks into fun quests that motivate users to stay on track. It's made for students and young adults who want an easier and more enjoyable way to stay organized and reach their goals.
My name is Omari Harvey, and I was the project manager of the of our FoQuest project, or our semester-long project. In this slide, well, in this recording or these recordings, I will be talking about my personal contribution and the requirement overview. So for this slide, it will be going over this requirements overview on our functional and non-functional requirements, as well as our system design. Some functional requirements we wanted to have was the AI companion, a gamification aspect, and authentication, which means for gamification, it just gives you that sense of a dopamine rush of getting your XP up or your level up. Seeing the numbers go up really helps with focus and motivation as well. And authentication is just a way to authenticate users to remember their data as well, like their XP and whatnot. Another one was the task management for a functional request, or a functional requirement was the task management section, and that was just a centralized area for all of the users' tasks per se. And we wanted to make sure that there's a calendar as well, so you can see the dates more clearly as they're approaching, or whatever you set the dates to, you can see them on a calendar. And those tasks and calendar, or those tasks and the calendar tasks that are shown, are integrated with each other. So when you make new tasks, it shows on the calendar. When you delete tasks, it shows them. It deletes from the calendar as well as the task board, and vice versa. Analytics is also a big thing that we wanted to focus on, which further enhances engagement, so you can see your numbers roll up, as well as I was talking about the dopamine rush. And non-functional was all of performance, security, reliability, and flexibility. Performance, I'll go over these briefly. Performance is just making sure it works on the platform, really. Like, our platform works efficiently, and it doesn't take away from, there's no bugs that take away from the immersion when it comes to our website or web app. Security as well, you don't want any data leaks, so nobody's taking your information out, or nobody's seeing what you have to do to try to get anything. It's just for secure, and that also adds to reliability. We want to make sure that it is reliable for users to use, meaning there's no big changes or any game or big breaking bugs within the code or the website itself. And then flexibility is just making sure it works on all different platforms. So we plan on making it try to work on an app and your phone as well.
Alrighty, next up is system design. On the left side here, our tech stack is, for the front end, we use Next.js and React, both great languages, and it's a great combination. And then for the back end, we use Fast API in Python. And then for the data layer, we used Supabase with its built-in PostgreSQL, as well as MongoDB for the AI. Some little features for the system. We have dual mode operation, as well as AI strategy. We use Azure Open API, and then we have auto triggers. So when you create a calendar event, it'll auto create and delete tasks. as well as a runtime config. So it results in just no rebuild needed and more efficiency.
This is Delsin doing the little demo for FoQuest. So welcome. It's our little login page that we have. Nice little design. And then it's our sign up page. We have a little dragon chasing the knight. But this is where you can sign up with a username and email, and of course a password. But for now, for time's sake, we'll just go in with my already generated profile and log in. It'll take you to our dashboard page where you can see your username, some levels, XP, how many hours you did that day, and how many tests completed. Oh, I did not mention this is our Focus app. It's AI powered. So yeah, we also have our active quests that we can view here, and then we have our AI companion in the bottom right, which we can show off now. It's a little janky. We didn't have enough time, but you can say hello, greetings, brave adventurer, or we can go like create a task. For now, it just creates a task, and then we'll show up the quest log right now, actually. But yeah, it's a little chat bot. And we have our quest log where you can create a task with the date, which we can show up now. We can go like test 3 with the date. It'll pop up here, but you can also see our AI generated task right here. We can also edit, delete. Then you can also cross it out if you want to. That's a little quest log task board, whatever you want to say. You also have a timer page, which is where the focus actually comes into play because you can start a timer and focus up for however long you want. And then see here, you have an analytics page, so you can check what you did for that week or a month or year. All mock data for now. I'm not level 15 at all, but it's a pretty nice page to look at if data was actually implemented. We also have a calendar page where you can visually see, what things you're doing that day or a month. You can also add a task here, delete, change the date. Let's see. And this is also integrated with our quest log. So we also have a settings page. If we had more time, we would implement some sounds and some themes, but we never did. And we can also update our login info here. So it's pretty sick. See what else do you have to show off. We can also search for a task here. Goes straight to the edit quest. We also have a profile which is broken, but you can get the idea. Notifications, and that's really it. What's up, everybody? My name is Delsin, and I was actually on the front end development and the UI UX design. So whether that be the little colors you see, or the theme that we have with the pixelated medieval type of thing, and as well as the GIFs that you see or the moving parts, and then all that fancy design stuff. So first up, like I was talking about, we have the login page, the sign up page, dashboard, analytics, and calendar, UI UX designs. So all the little forms or modals you see, all the coloring designs, that was all me. And then second thing, I was in charge of the responsive design, the user experience. So Next.js and React really came into play when implementing all that. It just became super easy once I gained knowledge of what the language was meant for. So when you click a button, does it navigate to the correct place, but is it also smooth? So that was the second thing I was in charge of. And the third was just the whole complete front end architecture and application structure in the project. So I had it to where like the dashboard, right? And then you go into that folder, and then you have the timer page with that page TSX, calendar, and etc. for all the pages. So that way it's clean and it matches the website or the web app. That was the third thing. And then the fourth thing was the navigation and system routing. So
For my individual contribution, I worked on the task page. So I helped design and code features that let users add, edit, and delete quests, and made sure everything fit with the medieval theme. I also helped work on connecting the task system to the calendar, so quests would show up in both places and stay in sync. Another big part of what I did was update the task page layout, like the UI, so like the layouts, the background, the buttons, so everything would look consistent and match the rest of the app. Overall, my goal was to make the app easy to use and fun to look at while keeping all the Quest features working smoothly. Um, One of the problems I faced was probably a database issue. So one day I was working on it, I decided to test something by logging out. So I logged out, tried to log back in, and um, it wouldn't let me. And I spent about a couple hours trying to figure that out and just couldn't figure it out how to get logged back in because I just wasn't familiar with the database. So I got in contact with Delsin, and we met up the next day, and he ended up helping me out, like kind of talking me through what to do, and eventually I did get signed back in about like 15 minutes. So yeah.
Hello, this is Harrison, and I was in charge of the settings and profile page. For my part of the project, I focused on developing the settings profile page. This included the UI layout, tried to make it consistent with the medieval theme. Some things I tried to implement was the notifications. This is all for like the future development for notifications, theme, eventually sound. I was starting to implement the sound system where you would complete a certain task or event, whatever it may be, and you'd have like a sound effect that would play after it. I was trying to make sure I stayed consistent with the design that Delsin provided. One challenge I faced was trying to learn how to interact with the database for the settings. I was trying to make sure like the settings you changed in the settings page would persist for each user. It was pretty difficult. I don't have a lot of experience working with databases, so this was a challenge. Eventually figured it out, but yeah.
Hey, Omari here. After going through everybody else's individual contributions, so Delsin's, Jadon's, and Harrison's, it's onto mine as well. On top of being the project manager of the overall semester-long project, making sure everybody's good, making sure everybody is getting their tasks done on time, resolving any issues, making sure the sprint are updated and our wikis are updated accordingly. I integrated the AI. It's very basic and rudimentary. It's a simple Azure API call, using API keys as well as the databases as well. We used Mongo for the AI database, so the JSON files of your user's information, as well as using Supabase, which is a SQL. Mongo is a non-SQL database, and Supabase is a SQL base or SQL database, and that just that records and stores the user's data so we can use it accordingly. And I also implemented the backend and front integration, and I was mainly focused on the backend developing. So the API calls, the gets, the posts. Our back end is in Python mainly, and the back end was doing all the question generating, the databases, and all that being integrated within the front end, and being able to show and modify the database itself. Right now we are using a security key, and that will be changed as well later on the line. Additionally, what I did was made sure that the calendar and tasks were integrated as well that they were integrated to where you can see and make changes via both ones. So like say you want to add to the tasks, and that task is shown on the calendar without having to like directly go into the calendar section. That's what I did. And then vice versa, if you wanted to add or delete to the calendar, it would also reflect on your task board as well. I helped a little bit with some of the UI, but the main focus was just the back end and making sure everything was working simultaneously and coherently, as well as mainly the AI companion, which was a little bit of a difficult challenge and a hurdle to get through. But right now it works, and you can see in the screenshot that it's creating the task and changing your due date as well.
This is Haley, and I'm going to go over my contributions to the project. So, to begin with, I helped structure the backend. So, what I mean by that is I created the ERD that we ended up using. So I went ahead and like set up the tables and each attribute that the tables would have and how they're related to each other. And I also went into Supabase and created the tables. So there was some troubles there with being able to access the database from the backend. Just related to do with like the IDs, some of the ways that I initialized the IDs. So I had some help with getting that fixed. And then I mainly developed the timer page functionality. So I envisioned like a Pomodoro timer. That was like the goal. So I really wanted there to be like a circle that, like the classic Pomodoro style, where it ticks down as the timer goes on. So with our timer, you're able to start, pause, and stop it, as well as resume whenever you pause it. And then you're also able to select, there's like preset times that you can select from, but there's also a custom time so the user can input however long they want to stay focused for. And yeah, there were some problems with that as far as getting the timer to actually resume from where it was paused at. So that was a little bit of a struggle. I just had to fix the way that I was time stamping the pausing basically. And then I also ensured that the timer would keep counting down even when the user wasn't on the same tab. And then for the UI, so Delsin did like all the UI stuff, so the design was like pretty much there already. I just implemented it with the timer, and yeah, besides the actual like circle around the timer going down, it was mostly just what Delsin already had, like the font and the colors and everything. So yeah.
For my individual contributions to FoQuest, I was mainly responsible for the calendar system and how it connects to the rest of the app. I built the entire calendar page, including the layout, the logic for switching between days and months, and the interactions that let users see what tasks they have scheduled. I also designed and created the database structure that the calendar uses. That meant setting up the tables, deciding how events and tasks should be stored, and making sure the backend could link the calendar and task system together without losing data or causing conflicts. On the technical side, most of my work was front-end and database integration. I worked directly with the task page team to make sure the data flowed correctly between features. When the task page wasn't updating or when calendar events weren't syncing, I handled a lot of the debugging to trace where values were breaking. I also started work on implementing Docker for the project. I didn't get the full container pipeline running, but I did set up the initial structure so the backend could eventually be packaged and deployed more cleanly. One challenge I ran into was getting the calendar and task database to stay consistent. Early on, tasks weren't showing up on the right days or weren't loading at all. The issue came from how we were passing state between pages and how the back end was expecting data. I solved it by standardizing the data format, updating our API calls, and rewriting part of the calendar logic so it always pulls fresh data when users navigate. After that fix, both pages stayed in sync, and the core workflow became reliable. Overall,
Let's move on to lessons learned and what we do differently. First, we'd probably start with constructing the database and schemas earlier to make sure it's the one we're working with. I remember we had to redo it once or twice, so having a finalized data model would have helped our progress move along a lot faster. Secondly, allocate more time for integration testing. I know some of the features would work on one page for like the tasks or the calendar, but it wouldn't work like integrating it with one another. So just more time for that and like having less time to debug and stuff. Our second was to document, or third was to document API endpoint sooner. This is like my third or fourth time messing with API endpoints, so just having it documented would have earlier would have helped a lot for like parallel development, having everyone on the same page and what each thing does. Now, yeah. Thank you for listening. We enjoyed your software engineering class.